What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Daily Fantasy Racing Podcast. This week, we have a special edition. We have one of two off weeks in the NASCAR season this week, so we thought we'd change it up, do something a little bit different, and have some fun with it. One of the key aspects that you'll notice is GordoGambles is not with us. He had some moving to do or traveling in Canada. There's like one road, so he couldn't actually get anywhere to do what he needed to do with this show. So we got some new faces on here for us to help us get through the week. And then we're going to do some betting action. We are going to do some betting coverage, which is not normally something me and Jason do a lot of, but I thought that'd be a good way to mix it up and have some fun this week. So first off, let's introduce everyone. Jason, FreeNASCARDFS. Jason, how you doing today, man?
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for the introduction. I see we're talking betting today. I'm glad you got these guys here. I hope they brought some big buckets because they're going to have to carry a lot of water for me tonight on the betting side. So, look forward to hearing from them. I hope they teach me some things.
Cool. Next up, we got Cody Goggin. Hope I pronounced that last name right. That's what I was going with.
You got it.
Perfect. Nailed it. Cody does betting stuff at the Action Network. You do a few different things. But how you doing tonight? Tell us what you got going on and how you feeling about NASCAR season so far.
Yeah, doing great. This is like the weird time where we had like the little appetizer with the Clash last week, and now have, the week off that it's just like, seems like it's gonna take forever for that time to pass. But yeah, going to be doing some content this season with Action as well as Action Network as well as FTN. So looking forward to the season getting started.
Awesome. And then lastly, kind of the inspiration for this show. Every Wednesday, Derek does a betting preview show for NASCAR.
Mm-hmm.
So shame on me for not getting on board with this show. He messaged me like when he first did this show, and I didn't really even put two and two together. He's like, hey, you want to be on the show? I was like, kind of, I don't know. And then he was like, cool, it's this Wednesday, or it was like today. I was like, oh shit, I'm not in town. I can't do it. And then like the show just got rolling. I was like, man, that would have been cool to do. But anyways, Derek done a great job. And the best part is because he's taking over a show and we're doing a betting show, I don't have to do any more hosting duties. So I'm literally going to make him the host. He's taking over from here on out. Derek, hopefully you're doing good. And tell us about what you got going on and all that. But get me out of here, dude.
Yeah. Don't worry. You don't have to talk anymore, if you will. So no, I appreciate it, Ryan. Doing well. Like you said, I got the NASCAR betting preview show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. I do it with a panel, and then we do live interactions with the listening audience. We're on Twitch, YouTube, podcast this year, so we are loaded. But it's good to talk with you guys. Obviously, we had Cars on Track over the Sunday where we had the Clash. So I'm kind of curious, Jason, I want to start with you. First thoughts of the Clash. Are we going to go back there or not? Not for a points race. Do they go back there in 2024?
No points race. Don't start the points race.
No points race. No. That's just garbage.
I thought the race was fine. I mean, if we're not going to go to Daytona and get on the super speedway and get them out there on the big track with the big boys, then I'm fine doing this little short track race. And it was a fun race. I mean, yeah, I saw a lot of complaints about the cautions. I don't get that aspect of it. I mean, that's short track racing. That used to be what we loved Bristol about, just caution every 3 laps. Like, what the hell is going on? These guys can't make it 3 laps. It's fun. Yell at the TV. Like I enjoyed it. That's what short track racing is. What I don't like is keeping it out there in California. Like, there's no reason we can't travel around the country with this thing, man. If it goes in stadiums, like, why? This was initially, we put it out in California because it's Super Bowl weekend out in California. Why don't we follow the Super Bowl, right? I mean, let's just follow the damn Super Bowl around and that be the thing, I don't hate that.
I don't hate that thought. The thing I like about rotating something would be the championship. If you made it at a destination, now I know it's weather dependent too. I mean, you can't predict weather, rain, snow, whatever, but good insights there. One more question before I go to Cody. Did you do anything from a DFS perspective? Was that pretty popular over the weekend, or does that really get kicked off for Daytona? Again, I'm the betting guy. I'm not the DFS guy.
DFS was great. I know, like I said, a lot of people were ready to get back into the action and ready to start kicking off the slates. A lot of traction in the article. I mean, and I think success as far as I wanted to end the weekend in the green and with some fish in the freezer, and I got both. Man, I got on the ice, got some
literally
fish in the freezer. We had some good picks. I was lucky enough to land on Ryan Preece in my core, and we all know the kind of the race he had. So yeah, it was a good weekend all around.
That's good. Cody, how about you? What were your thoughts of the Clash, and how was it for you from a betting perspective?
Yeah, so like kind of what Jason said, like I thought it was a good show. Like, enjoyed watching it, especially really enjoyed the heat races and the drama those added towards the end of those. But also agree that it should not be a points paying race. But no, it's a good way to start the season. I don't know what I want to see from it in the future, because at some point it probably is going to kind of run its course in LA in the next couple of years, and then I'm not sure where we go from there. I don't mind the idea of just traveling around to different wherever the NFL is or whatever. But yeah, like, I thought it was a good show and was fine with it. But no, as far as didn't have any picks or anything on the on the race. Just took start of season easy and just sat back and enjoyed.
That's good. That's not a bad thing. Ryan, what about you? Anything from your end? Thoughts or from a bet or from a DFS perspective?
So yeah,
or are you gonna tell the people you were laying some serious coin on some betting action? Is that what you're gonna say?
No. Wasn't doing that. I would have completely lost all my money if I was betting. Everyone kind of knew going into the race that Martin Truex was the guy. I felt like that was kind of obvious, and you always try to find the better values, right? You try to find some better odds, and I would have chased something that wasn't realistic. Probably chase Briscoe, honestly. Speaking of chasing, but from DFS, it was decent. We had good turnout from the website and everything.
Good.
I had it looking good up until about 30 to go. I had like a lineup with Bubba, Truex, Priest. They were running 1, 2, 3. Blaney was marching through the pack, and then Blaney got spun. Bubba got spun. Priest had the fuel pump issue. It just went to hell in the last little bit there, but had fun. It was a good start. It gets you excited to get in the mode of playing and hopefully winning. Being on the losing end sucks first race, but it's still fun. And then, for the race to stay there, I'm fine with it. I don't think it's a bad event. The good thing about the Coliseum itself is it's in Southern California. You're not really going to get a lot of rain. The weather's going to be almost perfect every time. And you do have local access to a lot of stars outside of what we normally get. I know you weren't a Wiz Khalifa fan there, but Jason, but
no, I like Wiz Khalifa. But
so I just feel like that's an added benefit from a marketing aspect. And so there's a lot of benefits. Is the racing great? No. Do I enjoy it? No. I don't like bumper cars. I don't feel like that's a real racing event that shows what NASCAR drivers can do. But it's still entertaining. And if there wasn't that cluster of cautions right at the start of the second part of that race, the race would have seemed fine. It's just they got to crash in every other lap, and that kind of put a damper on it. But overall, I think it was a good show, and I'd like it there. I'd also like it on other short tracks anywhere around the world. They can do that not just in America, but they can go to England. They could go to Wembley and build a stadium track inside there. Anything to shake it up, and that gives you an international aspect.
These teams are already crying about going to the West Coast 2 weeks before.
I was going to say,
I don't care.
Larkin, you're starting to sound like NASCAR. Are you trying to sell us that this sport needs to go overseas? Are we becoming
Let's go overseas so nobody shows up to the race?
Yeah.
If those teams are asking
go down to North Carolina,
if the teams are asking for $15 million, they can afford it. They'll make it happen.
I know. I'm with you. No,
I do have a funny betting story from the weekend though, if we have time.
That's perfect.
So these sports books are making a killing off like getting in these new betting markets, right? Because they opened up in Ohio here in January, and my parents, boomers, right, are now getting into the betting market. 3 weeks ago, just to set this up, 3 weeks ago, my first round of the playoffs, my dad was texting me bets that he was placing. I'm like, cannot believe the odds he was getting on Josh Allen for 3 touchdowns. I'm like, oh, I need to bet this. And I'm like, hey, like, those are like 3 rushing touchdowns, right? They're not like 3 passing touchdowns. He's like, oh, that makes more sense. But so that's just setting the backdrop for this. So he reads my article every week, right? So he gets to read my article. He says, yeah, Jason, that's a great article, but tell me, who's going to win tonight? Who do I bet? And I'm like, well, I told you, read my article. You got to wait till after the heat races. Like, well, fucking tell me after the heat races. Heat races, and he's like, all right, who am I betting? I'm like, Martin Truex. So perfect. So race happens. I'm excited. Like, Truex won. So I text my dad, said, hey, how about that Martin Truex call? He doesn't fucking respond to me. Next day, he finally responds to my text. He goes, yeah, it was a great call, Martin Truex. Unfortunately, I bet him for the Daytona 500.
Oh, no. My God. No. Well, hey, got to learn somewhere. So maybe Martin goes back to back, but no, that's a good story.
He's got like plus 3,000 odds on Martin Truex that day.
I was going to say, yeah, he was loving that number when he thought it was going to hit the pay window. I thought the event was it's the Clash. I wish it was at Daytona. I wish we were doing, I'm seeing a lot of videos now circulating back to the speed weeks. We had one bad speed weeks that made it pathetic. Nobody had respect for anybody. I wish we'd go back to the whole tradition. Now that the NFL is 18 weeks, it's really difficult. I get that. There are ways to do it. You do a Monday night race. It's simple. You make it a whole week, a whole spectacle. Anyways, we will go into the Daytona 500 because now that's a good way to kind of move into that. And I'm curious because that is coming up here in about 9-10 days. I know we're all excited. We got qualifying next Wednesday. Thursday's the heat races, then Trucks Xfinity Cup. So, Cody, I'm going to start with you. What's the outlook for the Daytona 500? Who are you eyeing up?
Yeah, I mean, if you're just starting top of the board, like the obvious, the guys should be the favorites are like Denny Hamlin, like probably the best super speedway racer in the sport. He's won 3 Daytona 500s to this point, and he's 13-1, along with Ryan Blaney, who has been close a number of times now, but just hasn't been able to win a Daytona 500 yet. So those are probably my 2 favorite guys at the top of the board. Just at super speedway races, don't love laying, like don't want to get too carried away with all the variances out there, but so yeah, obviously taking it easy with that. But those are like the 2 guys that come to mind at the top of the board.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad. They said in the offseason or leading into the offseason that there was going to be some aero changes made to the Toyotas. So there is something to look at as we go to these super speedways, go to these larger races. Does that play a factor for those that OEM? So you have Hamlin there and you have Blaney. What about some long shots? Got any long shots for us?
So looking farther down the board there, I think Eric Jones is a really good one.
Love that.
33-1 that he actually led in 5 of the 6 super speedway races last year, led at least a lap. He's always running towards the front, finishes pretty well, and has even won a Daytona before at the Coke 600 or whatever they're
his first win.
Not Coke 600, my bad. Pepsi
Coke 400.
Yeah, Coke 400, whatever they're calling it nowadays. But
just technicality, same Coke. It's Coke. It comes from the same plant. We don't care. Yeah,
he's won.
He won. He got a trophy.
And he's constantly up front at super speedway races.
Yeah.
So I think the guys that he's priced around there, he's looking pretty good.
I love that.
And then Austin Hill farther down the board at 80-1. Like I'm not worried about his equipment at a race like this. That 62 car typically runs just fine at super speedways. I mean, we've seen it with Brendan Gaughan in the past, with Noah Gragson last year. Like that 62 car can run up front at Daytona. Like that's not going to be an issue. Just seeing like the way he runs in Xfinity, like he might already be one of the best super speedway racers in the series, even though it's going to be his second Cup race. Like he's a really good super speedway racer,
and that's a very long shot too. What state do you live in again?
I'm in Missouri, so no.
Okay, so here's the deal: if Hill wins the Daytona 500, I will drive out to Missouri. I will shake your hand. And I'm going to turn around and I'm going to go home. That is my promise. If Austin Hills wins the Daytona 500, I'll do that. That's a promise.
Deal.
All right. So I like that. I like the Jones play. Obviously, Hamlin, Blaney. Yeah, I agree with that. Those 2 should be the top of the odds boards. Actually, could make a case for Chase Elliott, who won at Atlanta. To be up there. I know he is up there. Maybe not a co-favorite. Maybe just a little point down. But what about you, Jason? What are you thinking? You got any takes for the 500 at all?
I've already prefaced preface saying I'm not like a big betting guy, and I definitely, if I'm making bets, I'm not betting favorites in the Daytona 500. It's just no fun, right? I want the long shot guys. These are unpredictable races, so embrace that. But if I'm going to pick a favorite to win this race without even looking at the odds, I'm going to pick the Watermelon Man, Ross Chastain, the guy who will do anything behind the wheel. He's proven himself that he will take chances other drivers won't. With super speedways last year, he had 4 top 4 finishes out of 6 races, and only 2 times he did not finish in the top 4. For the 2 times he wrecked, he's an aggressive driver. He's a guy, right, who if we are coming down to with 5 laps to go and he's running an 8th, he's not going to ride an 8th. He's going to make the move to do what he needs to do to put himself in position to win. It may not work out. He may fall back, but he's along the lines of those Earnhardts who are going to find the way to the front of the pack late in these races. And he's going to cement himself as a great super speedway racer over the next few seasons. And you guys watch He's going to win the Daytona 500 this year. He's going to be smashing the watermelon in victory lane. I don't care what his odds are.
Oh, now that would be something. Yeah, his last win came in April at Talladega, and then he went on a long winless streak, long for him. Obviously, was never in victory lane in his Cup career until at COTA. So he's an aggressive driver. I think he could be a poor man's Recce Stenhouse, like at Super Speedways.
God, poor man's. I'm going to say
poor man's. He could be a poor man's because he's so aggressive. You got to make friends out there too.
He's a penthouse Ricky. He's already done things in that car Ricky would dream about.
I know. I'm with
Ricky's a poor man.
I hear your argument. Who's your long shot? All
right, long shot. I'm going to go with Chris Buescher.
I agree with that.
Okay, I like Chris Buescher. We're going to go back to the duels last year, right? We saw RFK show up with fast cars. Brad Keselowski won his duel. Chris Buescher won his duel. Chris won from, I think, started 15th, drove up through the field, right? He's been at the front of these races. He needs to make those moves late in the race to wins, but I like the plus 3,000 odds here. Like I said, again, I don't know what value is. I don't know if I imagine he wins 1 out of every 30 times he races on a super speedway, I would think. So I don't know if that's how that works out. Is that how that math works? Is that the betting way it works out?
Yeah, that's you know more betting stuff than you're even laying. You're giving statistics and all this. Us betting and DFS guys, we're all the same. We're just doing different things. Yeah, that's good. I like the Buescher play a lot because Buescher's a really good super speedway, very underrated. So that's a good call out there. Larkin, what about you? Anything on your end from a betting perspective?
Yeah, I love the betting perspective. To me, I don't typically do a lot of picks to win when I do betting. I'm a big head-to-head guy. I love finding edges and heads. But the Daytona 500 to me is the greatest lottery ticket. Throw something out there to have fun type race, both for DFS, because there's a milli out there to win on the DFS side with DraftKings. But when you have some money on a driver in a race like this, when things could change so quick with a wreck or whatever, to me, that's really fun. But, for me, my favorite to win is Bubba Wallace at plus 1,800. I feel like this is actually really good value. As someone who also isn't the best at understanding the betting side of things, this is the driver with the second best average finish at Daytona, behind only Austin Cindric, and Cindric has a small sample size. So, Bubba has a phenomenal track record here. He has tons of not just really good finishes, but top fives. He has multiple second place runner-up finishes here. He's had 3 top fives in the last 5 points paying races here. So this is a guy that's at the front, and not just at the front, but they're at the end. He is getting to the finish of these races, and speed-wise has been phenomenal regardless of the team. So he obviously has the ability and knack to drive this style of racing and to get up front, and that's the type of driver I want to put my money on. And I feel like plus 18, there's 10 drivers that have, in my opinion, worse odds than him, that you're paying plus. I think Kyle Larson was the favorite at plus 1,200. I don't know what the hell is happening there, but Bubba Wallace should be at the top of most people's list at this number here.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think Bubba is a good call, especially at Daytona, and we saw what he's been doing at other tracks last year. Wrecked at Talladega late, wrecked at Atlanta late. I think he still scored a top 10 at Atlanta, but he usually gets there when it counts. Could have finished second now twice in the 500. So I don't think that's a bad call. What about a long shot? Who are you eyeing up from a long shot perspective?
Long shot. I feel good that I got a bigger number than Jason. That's the biggest thing. Plus 4,000 is really strong. So Eric Almirola, I was really surprised at his ownership last week in DFS. He started on the pole. I thought a lot of people jump on him. The field just didn't want to play him, especially sharp players. And I guess that's just a general dislike of Eric Almirola or lack of trust in him as a driver. But, Eric, it's just one of those things where it's a lot of it's perception in a lot of cases. And, with Almirola, he's got wins at both Talladega and Daytona in the Cup Series. He's got wins at both Talladega and Daytona in the Xfinity Series. If there is a track type outside of the, short, flat track stuff that he's obviously really good at, he is a strong contender at plate tracks. He has a really good ability of getting to the front and sneaking up and stealing the win. When Austin Dillon won his 500, it was by wrecking Almirola on the backstretch in the last lap. Almirola was on his way to win that race. It's just a driver that I feel like getting plus 4,000 when there's literally 25 drivers, with better odds. I just feel like Almirola is a strong play, and that's a really, really good number to get.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I mean, for anybody out there that's even just putting a little bit on it, you put $10 on something like that, your payout's $400, coming back at you. So something like that, that's what makes the super speedway so great, and being able to play that, because you hit on some of the Almirola statistics, and talking to Brian Murphy, who I do the All Things Go podcast with, they're very excited about their super speedway package and what they're doing with the SHR. So he could be a guy, Florida born guy, and probably in his last year of his contract. We'll see what happens with the 10 car, but that could be a car that is up there at late, and that's a good number. So I agree.
And that's, the SHR deal is kind of, I almost put Harvick as my favorite to win. Harvick's super consistent at plate tracks. And I think
storyline.
Yeah. And the storylines there, everything works for Harvick. He's plus 2,500. That's a really good number for Harvick. So plus 2,500, if you're looking for a big number, I like that. But what about you? Where are you at for the 500? Who you liking?
So I really like William Byron. I feel like Byron is a guy who won at Atlanta last year. His first win came in the Coke Zero 400 a couple years back, 2020, I believe. Byron's a guy, he also won there in Xfinity. He's just a guy that knows how to get to the front. He's been wrecked a couple times up front. I really like Chevrolet going into the week now that we have the odds. I wouldn't have said that if we didn't know the odds, but seeing them and kind of knowing some of the statistics on my end, I really like the Chevrolet program. So William Byron is my top candidate that I really like going in. And then Justin Haley as my long shot, another guy like you, Larkin, with the 40-1 there. Haley is a guy that I really like as well, because he's proven that he gets there. Actually, might be a sign. Celsius, I think he might have Celsius on the car coming in, so it's all a sign. He was in good position at Daytona in the fall when it rained and got wrecked, and he was right there. So those were my two plays that I really liked. Again, I'm going to be pretty heavy on Chevrolets, and I'm curious how the duels play out, because we know qualifying historically has been strong for that manufacturer. So those are my two plays.
For sure. Yeah. And if anyone wants to, leave a comment, let us know their plays, who you're liking. If you got odds, if you already got a ticket, pick there, send it in. We'll put it up here. We'll talk about it. I'm interested to see what other people have going on.
Yeah, I'm curious from a championship perspective, but Cody, I want to ask you one last thing from Daytona. When it comes to markets, what specific betting market do you like to target? Obviously, the outrights are more profitable with some of those offerings there, but is there a market that you like to target on a, we'll say week to week, even though it's track dependent base?
Yeah, like you said, it's pretty track dependent. Like for something like Daytona, where it's one of the most unpredictable races of the year, that's where you want to focus more on getting those bigger numbers, that when something's being offered to be not likely to happen, it might actually be more likely to happen than that. So looking at the kind of those long shot win bets or long shot top 10s by some of those back marker cars. You had people parlaying top 10 super speedway finishes last year, winning $1 million. I don't think that's going to be a offering anymore this year. But
I don't think so.
I
also don't think we'll ever see that again.
Right. Any matchup between like similar drivers where you can get one of them at like heavier plus odds. Like
if it's gonna happen again, though, it's gonna happen at Daytona.
That's true. That was such a perfect scenario for and good for on everybody that was able to cash that. But
we probably won't have that opportunity right now.
The sports books will never allow parlays ever again, unless NASCAR and them come together and say, you are a betting partner. We promise that we'll put the parlays in. So, I don't know that. There's one of the audience members says Austin Dillon at 25-1 there. Looks pretty good. I agree. Austin Dillon obviously won that rain delay, got into the playoffs. Austin Dillon was a guy I actually almost wrote down here instead of William Byron, but Dillon, never know. Those boys look good at the Clash. You can't take any of that, transfer any of that data. But what about from a championship perspective? And let's all make sure that we look good here, because when you come back, Larkin, with this video and it shows Jason's going to give his championship pick here. Jason, who wins the championship, or who's your prediction to win the championship, if you will, the way too early championship in February the 9th?
Poor man's Ricky Stenhouse. I still can't get past that.
Wow, it's just for super speedways, because he doesn't have a whole lot of friends. Jason, you got to follow me here. When you're fishing tomorrow out in the pond and you're looking at that golf course, beautiful picture by the way, you're going to be thinking about that comment.
Christopher Bell. as my favorite to win the championship. Right, we got coming to his
poor man's Kyle Larson.
Poor man's.
Everybody's
Kyle
poor
Larson.
man's now.
Yeah, exactly.
But I've said a lot on this podcast about Christopher Bell. I've been speaking about him for the last year. Dude's a talent. Make the step forward last year. Saw him with the wins. We saw his clutch performances. With win at the Charlotte Roval in must win situation, and went to Martinsville in the must win situation to put himself in a championship contender. I think he continues making that step forward, and the playoffs just set up so perfectly for him. How good Toyota is on these 1.5 miles. He's got Kansas in the first round. He's got the Bristol, which is a great track for him. He's got the road course in the next round to run. I mean, he's got Martinsville, in the last round, which he runs well at. Short flat tracks or especially, I imagine he's going to get much better at a place like Phoenix too. And it's just, I like Christopher Bell as my favorite. And you get him, I think he's the 6th or 7th longest guy right now, and he was in the Final Four last year. So it seems pretty solid to me.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I don't hate that number. If you're going to get in on a guy, he'll probably more than likely win a race in the regular season. Obviously, then those odds will get cut. Maybe down to plus 400 or so after that win, whenever that is. It will happen. But yeah, I don't dislike that play at all. I absolutely agree. What about a long shot? Are you going any outside the TRD, or are you staying in the TRD family?
Big long shot right here. Still in the Toyota family racing is I am going to go Bubba Wallace at plus 4,000. I know this seems like a crazy pick here, but you got to think he's now at this point in his career where he doesn't have that pressure anymore, right? He's got 2 wins under his belt. Yep. He doesn't have to prove anything. This team has bought into him. He's still got Kurt Busch's mentorship still right there, right? He's still got a new teammate in Tyler Reddick. This schedule lines up perfectly for him in the playoffs. You look at it, he can win at Talladega. We saw the car he had at a short flat track like the Coliseum this last week. He can run up front at Martinsville. He can find himself in contention here. Now, can he pull through at Phoenix? I don't know, but you got a guy in a great car. And you can get on him very early right now at plus 4,000 because I imagine if he wins 2 races before the playoffs start, it's going to be a lot shorter.
Yeah, I think it's time that we do respect Bubba Wallace and what he's capable of doing. I think that 23 team is going to be strong. They proved it late last year. So, Cody, what about you? What are your thoughts? Championship pick and long shot.
Yeah, I mean, call me crazy, but I think this is finally when Denny gets it done. Denny's been chasing his championship for years and kind of infamously coming up short, but
yeah.
I mean, at some point, he's one of the most experienced drivers in the field, has one of the fastest cars in the field, was the Hail Melon away from making the championship for last year. I think that I think this is going to be the year that Denny finally gets it done. And at 10-1, he probably should be priced up higher with some of the favorites like Elliott and Larson. So, you can find him 10-1 on FanDuel, and I like that.
Mm-hmm. Don't dislike that number at all. What about a long shot guy?
Yeah, so long shots, liking Chase Briscoe at 40-1. That while he's not, I wouldn't necessarily say he's one of the best drivers in the series at this point, but we saw his development last year and saw him getting better as a driver. We saw that he has, could win at Phoenix last year, so that certainly helps as well. And he ran deep in the playoffs. So I think if we keep seeing this growth from Chase Briscoe, that he has a shot to make the championship for it. And from there, he could win at Phoenix like he's done it before.
I was just going to say, Larkin, hit my championship picks if you don't mind. I agree with you about Briscoe. I think Briscoe, it lines up really nice for him, especially, obviously, first win of his career was at Phoenix. That we know that's the championship. Martinsville, he could win there. So the schedule does favor him as well. I think he's going to be a guy, could have had 3 wins before the end of May. Didn't do too well over the summer, but he really finished strong, I believe. And Coop, what's up, Coop? So Coop also says that he likes Chase Briscoe at plus 4,000 to win the championship. It is a bit disrespectful. He can win at Phoenix, like we were just saying about, and that number will be cut in half within the first 5 weeks of the season. I do agree. So another bet that Barstool does that I really like is they do put out who advances into the championship for, and you can get him, Briscoe, that is, at plus 550. I really like that. Big Ross says he agrees on Hamlin, and if that team doesn't have the consistency to shoot themselves in the foot like they did last year, he should have won. So I agree. I think Hamlin's going to be a very popular play as well. So Larkin, what about you? What do you got for us from a championship and long shot wise?
So real quick, I wanted to do a little training seminar, what the hell you want to call it. But, I was looking up these odds.
Let me get my notebook.
Yeah. You get it. You get it, Jason. So I was doing these odds, where I was putting all this up for our banners and checking out the odds. And you gave me plus 3,300 for Derek, and Cody gave me plus 4,000. I was like, that's weird. Let me check this out. So DK has plus 4,000 for Chase Briscoe. I go and look at Barstool, and they're sitting at plus 3,000. It is very, very important to check different books and make sure you're getting the best number possible. If you just were sitting there on our Barstool and you thought, oh, that's the best thing I get, boom, play it, you're missing out on 1,000. Literally, that's a huge difference. With Chase Briscoe, someone who I actually really think will have a good year, especially if Stuart Haas makes those gains. He's probably behind Harvick, the best driver in that stable. He's the one that's probably, in my opinion, he can kill it on road courses. He can kill it on short tracks. He can kill it in a lot of areas. And I think he's going to be a championship contender. I think he'll be in the playoffs. And plus 4,000 right now is disrespectful, like Coop said. So it's important to shop those numbers, I guess, is the key thing there. But let me get to my picks. We got a comment in here. I'll go ahead and throw it up real quick. And it was Reddick going to win it all from Andrew. And I completely agree, Andrew. I absolutely agree with what you got going on there, because that is my pick to win the championship. Tyler Reddick plus 1,800. I was sitting there. Oh, we lost Jason. There he is. Hey.
He didn't like your TED talk. Man.
All right. So Tyler Reddick. So I was looking at Kyle Larson. Me and Jason in our season preview both landed on Bell. We both really like Bell. And then we both like Larson. He did not put Larson in his Final Four, I don't believe. But I had Larson as my favorite. But I looked at the odds. I think he's plus 600 to win the championship. I'm like, if I'm going to put money on a championship winner at the beginning of the season, and I'm only getting plus 600, I don't like that. And Tyler Reddick is the other guy. And part of the conversation we had that race is that Homestead is in that last round, the round of 8. Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick are the two go-to drivers when it comes to Homestead. And that is a great situation for Tyler Reddick. And a Toyota, which were dominant on intermediates. If they hold that speed, he's going to be great there next year. Vegas also in that round. So he gets 2 intermediate tracks, 2 of his bread and butter type tracks. If he makes it that round of 8, I expect him to be in the Final Four. I think that sets up 2 up. I think the 2311 team is going to be better suited for him. I think that situation is going to be really, really good. And I just feel like plus 1,800 is a good number. So Tyler Reddick, someone I already had in my Final Four or competing, one of the last 4 or 5 drivers, and I get him at plus 1,800. I love that. And then my long shot, I think everyone knows by now, I have an Austin Dillon fetish. It's something that we just do on it.
You got 25,000 on him? Is that
25,000? If you play $20 on Austin Dillon, you win $5,000.
I gotta bet that.
$5,000. $20. Have some
your
fun.
dad, Jason, your dad just went and bet that.
Yeah. So, the thing with Austin Dillon is, do I think he outright is a true championship contender with the Bells and the Reddick? No. But do I think he's plus 25,000? That's ridiculous. He's making the playoffs almost every year at this point. I think it's 4 of the last 5 years he's in the playoffs. He's winning a race almost every year. So if he's one of the last 16 drivers, and really I think he's advancing to the round of 12 at least a couple of times, you're talking about one of the last 12 guys standing at plus 25,000. People get caught up in a wreck at Talladega and he makes it through. Guess what? He's probably advancing out of the round of 12. Things like that can easily put him in a position. We've seen these races get weird. He finished second at Martinsville, which is our race, every year to the final race. Obviously, the short track program looks great after the race this past weekend. Obviously, that's 10 months away. A lot can change. A lot of things can, evolve, and maybe RCR is slow by the end of the year. But plus 25,000, that's just too big. Too big. And I love Austin Dillon, so I got to get him in the show somehow. Yeah.
No, I definitely.
That's it right there.
That's Dillon. Yeah. So Andrew went out and bet Dillon instantly. So you sold a couple people on it. I don't agree. I don't disagree. I'm trying to think here. The RCR, they had such a large hand in Reddick's of poor man's Kyle Larson. Yeah, see, this might be a new trend for you, Larkin, where people are now saying poor man's. Might have started something bad for you. But I do want to point out, and it's not NASCAR related, but I saw Cody. He kind of perked up here a little bit. Just wanted to make sure that we saw that Kansas City Chiefs emblem right there, just to make sure we all know that they're in the Super Bowl. So, Cody, maybe you could do like a parlay, right? Like parlay the Chiefs. They're the underdogs this week going into the Super Bowl, and maybe
All
put
right,
it
I'll
on
see you guys later.
Oh, Cincinnati Bengals. All right, that's good. All right, that's good. That's good. Little rivalry there. Yeah, sorry, Jason. I know you're still licking your wounds from that, but Cody, you could have some fun with it, right? And bet the big game this weekend, and then parlay it into maybe a finishing position. And before you go, one thing, anybody out there that's betting, look at the top manufacturer pricing. Most times sports books kind of forget about that market, and there you can find value. I know I saw a couple, AJ Allmendinger's prices. You can get maybe 10-1, 14-1 on just getting that, and they just have to beat their manufacturer. But Cody, go ahead. I'm going to give you the floor for your Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, hypothetically, you could parlay that with something for Daytona if your book lets you. We'll actually let you do that, but yeah, just nervous, excited for the weekend, and hope they pull it out. I don't really have any comments past that, but
it's all right.
Can't jinx it. Can't be too positive.
Yeah, right.
I was trying to set you up there. I was.
Yeah,
so.
Trying to get like some hot take on camera.
I'm pretty sure the key to this is you bet the Eagles to win, so that way, no matter what, you got a victory on the weekend.
Oh,
that
would be the worst. That would be the worst. Where you look at it and you're like, oh, okay. It's that it's that meme. I gotta find it, but it's that wouldn't be.
Made $100 today, but my team lost.
No.
Yeah, you got a free bet for Daytona. So
there you go.
Yeah. So I think that's good. I think that's good conversation. Then Larkin, where else do you want to take the conversation, or you want to? What else? Yeah, where else do you want to go?
I think that's it, man. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. I appreciate everyone for joining us, of course. I'll let you guys kind of plug your stuff real quick, and then we'll get the hell out of here. Derek, go ahead and plug your stuff. I know you got like 6 podcasts and all types of stuff going on nowadays. So what you got going on?
Yeah, I try to look busier than I probably am. So I do Larkin was saying, thanks again for having us, but the NASCAR betting preview show, which is Wednesday nights on Twitter Spaces, twitch.com/Podium Esports, youtube.com as well. And then the podcast comes out that night. I also do the All Things Go podcast with Brian Murphy of Stewart-Haas Racing. We just had Don Hawk, the CEO of SRX on, and he got to tell so many awesome stories. We have Jeff Gluck coming on this upcoming week. So that podcast is not betting based or DFS based. It's more motorsports based, and just the purity of what we love watching, and some banter back and forth. So those are the best places to find me. And then on Twitter at Derek Yoder _ is the best way to interact with me there as well.
All right, Picks by Blaze. I appreciate you being on the show.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I know. Did you see how I stopped? I was like, I gotta remember it. Yeah.
Yep. I appreciate you being on. Everyone, I think, who follows me close enough knows I freaking hate hosting. I hate talking. Like I was saying before the show, I am Ricky Bobby in the beginning of Talladega Nights. I have no clue what the hell to do here, but I'm appreciate joining and then taking the reins. Though I didn't have to. Cody, thank you for joining as well. It was nice to have some more betting insight. And then I thought you made some great picks. Honestly, once I saw your picks, I kind of transitioned slightly on mine. So you made some good picks.
Yeah, it was, thanks for having me. It's been awesome time on this. And just follow me at Cody Goggin on Twitter. That's where you're going to see pretty much everything I put out. Going to keep focusing mostly on data, lap times, and kind of breaking down races from a statistical perspective. But yeah, give me a follow on Twitter, and then you'll see what I put out on places like Action and FTN as well.
Perfect, man. Appreciate it. And then lastly, my best friend, Jason, FreeNASCARDFS. Go ahead.
Damn, I've been doing this stuff with Larkin for over a year now, and I have not once influenced any of his decisions that I know of. So well done, Cody. You guys can find my stuff every week right here at Run Pure Sports, free, right? Every Sunday morning, I put the article breaking down the slate, giving you the picks, giving you the plays, giving you the cores. I will have a special article Daytona week for the duels, so that'll look for that on Thursday. I do have my season preview article live right now, also at Run Pure Sports. So go check that out. Give you all the rundown, all the different track types, all the drivers, my rankings across each track type, my driver rankings. You can go laugh at them, let me know how terrible I did. Hit me up on Twitter at DFS NASCAR, and thanks for watching.
Cool. every week you have a new Run Pure gear going on. Last week it was a tumbler. This week he had a Yeti last week. There it is. The hat. They got you kicked up with it. That's nice.
They take care of you, man. If you are a content person looking to get in the business, if you're not going to get with fan racing right here, Run Pure is the place to be. They take care of you.
Run Pure's got every sport. So you're right. If you're in any sport, they got a lot of coverage. They do a good job. I know they take care of Jason there. So that's really cool. I always appreciate you jumping on here, Jason. For me, everything's obviously at DailyFanRacing.com. We're going to have full coverage. I just had to actually switch the newsletter to Substack. MailChimp decided they wanted to start charging people. So we got a Substack now, which is cool, I guess. That's free. We're going to have free newsletter every week. This week we'll actually have 2 or 3 leading into the races. Free Discord, jump in. We got about 5, just cleared 500, I think, people in the Discord. So good little group there. And then all my stuff behind the paywall. But sorry, Jason, I know it's not free, but behind the paywall at Daily Fan Racing, we got literally everything you need. The last couple things that we don't have, we're working on. So we're about to have the full slate of everything covered for every NASCAR race and F1. So if you're a Formula One fan, Drive to Survive is coming out later this month. And then we get to the season early March as well. So we literally have everything. Check us out. At the minimum, check out our free stuff, the Discord and newsletter and all that. Lastly, thank you guys. Great show. It was actually a really good show for 2 non-betting people being a part of it. So I appreciate it, and we'll look to have you on again in the future, guys. I appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you.
See you guys.